You may proceed if you still have.
No, thank you.
Honorable Mtetwa.
Thank you, Chair. As I did indicate that we might need more grace for this one. Indeed, we need it.
Agree with you.
Honestly, I concur with the members when they say that we can't be listening to a verbal presentation of financials. And 2 years later, we still are waiting for audited financials. I was part of the 6th Parliament in this committee. We waited and waited for the financials that never came. But I want to draw the attention to Deputy Minister that your department yet again is found wanting to even allow Netball SA to come and present in front of us without you knowing the financials. I don't understand how that happens. I really don't understand how that can happen, that you allow Netball SA and Netball World Cup to come and present without financials that you haven't adopted, you haven't seen. You haven't even seen the audited version of it. It's a wasteful expenditure that we have come for here, Chair. Honestly. That also goes to SASCOC. Again, we are saying SASCOC is sleeping on the job. Because you can hear even the responses from the president of SASCOC. He doesn't know. He's not ashamed to say he doesn't know. Yet it is the governing body that looks after these federations. First point of report must be to SASCOC before it even goes to the department, and department to us. But there's so much disjuncture. Let me not waste the time elaborating on that. The acting chairperson of, or the members, the board members, you indicated that you have gone through the IOD training, Institute of Directors, and you should be quite familiar with the concept that says you are severally and jointly liable. Whatever happens with the president, you might be liable, because some of these things have been happening in your presence. Having said that, would you regard the selection process of coaches and players as independent and without president's interference at Netball SA? Maybe the director of coaches, who's the director of coaches, can respond to that. If you do have that independency in selecting, and if that's so, why you haven't announced the teams that will be playing currently? What is the what is the reason for that?
Thank you. Let me indicate we have director selection. We have director coaches. Selection is responsible for the players. Director coaches is responsible for the coaches. And we have director demarcation responsible for policies, constitutions, and everything. And me stepping in for the president, I'm responsible for overall activities in netball, and the CEO is the accounting officer. So in terms of selection, may I request that director selection respond on that, because it's her responsibility, and then director coaches will elaborate on the appointment of coaches. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I'm not sure which team are you talking about, because we have our SPA Proteas, a team has been active, and the under 21s, we have 25 players that are going to participate in the TNL, and then been cutting down to 15, preparing for the World Youth Games. So I'm not sure about your question. Which team are you referring to?
I'm talking about the Telecom Netball League squads that will be playing. Why have they not been announced if that process is independent?
Okay, now I get you. All the team were approved. You know, the process of the TNL is that all the provinces are given a chance to do their trials as provinces. And then I have to be, guide them and monitor them. And then after that, we take the list. They're selecting 16 players per team. So those provinces with the two teams, sorry. So those provinces with the two teams, they select in the initial stage, they select 16 players, being 12 plus 4 non-travelers. The non-travelers are players that being non-travelers in case in the 12 there's players that get injured or whatever happened during the games, then they go back to the non-travelers. But then the players, once they got selected, we took all the list and then we take it to the office to check their membership, to check that they are good standing with Netball South Africa, as well their district and their provinces. So with all that process, it takes some time sometimes, because when you find that some of the players amongst the team, they are not in good standing, then we have to intervene there and with their provinces. But at this moment, all the teams are being approved, and we already told most of the provinces, and even the kids and the turkeys and everything is being delivered. So all the teams are being approved. But then we were still doing that process, is the one that I mentioned. So if there are provinces that they haven't received their teams as yet, it might be maybe there was problems with the players. Thank you.
Okay, let me remind you that as members of parliament, we are commissioners of oath. And when you respond to our questions, you like somebody who is under oath. As I indicated, that you are severally and liably responsible. I asked the question, what has delayed you in terms of the interference that is alleged to be from the president, which is one of the issues that has led to many complaints about the president. Is there any interference? Having said that, what has resulted in you disbanding Gauteng province and KZN? What are the issues? Why have you disbanded GP? Why have you suspended GP and KZN?
Director demarcation, yes, thank you, sir. Director demarcation, like I indicated, she's dealing with constitution, structures, and policies. She is responsible for that. She will take you through the process that was taken to arrive to that decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Okay, with regards to KZN, KZN was not disbanded. They were not disbanded at all. Gauteng, we called about 4 meetings with them for them to come, and because we wanted to mediate between, because we tried, because there was complaints that came through from the districts within Gauteng that came through to us, and we called a meeting with all the members. The first time they didn't pitch, the second, the third they didn't pitch, the fourth time when we called them to present their audited financial statements as well as all their structural information. They could not present anything to us. And eventually when they did, we also came across and there was like some irregularities that we picked up in terms of financial issues. And also with regards to certain complaints that we had, and we, in terms of the finances that came from the department, Gauteng Department of Sport to Gauteng structure. That was also it was given to the CEO to have a look at, to take it to somebody to have a look at in terms of the finances, and it was also reported that there was mismanagement of funds, and we then also tried. Now currently we've been trying to mediate, to have a mediation between them, between Netball South Africa and them as well. And then then we received, a letter from one of the members, the former chairperson, who took us to the High Court for that because she disputed it. And we also had, there was other members, so it's part of the board, not the entire board, who signed, put in an affidavit, who had an affidavit as part of that. And then closely to the time, when the mediation process was supposed to take place, they had about 2 lawyers. This is now the 3rd lawyer that they had. We again requested for mediation process. They didn't want to. So I don't know. I think the CEO would probably be able to in terms of the mediation process. I'm not so sure about where the mediation process is now, because I know that there was another one called for them for the 3rd time to see how we can resolve this matter.
All right. Thank you. Chair, DG wants to.
Oh, Dr.
respond.
Kumalo, the president of SASCOC indicated he wanted to say, or should I pass you?
It's important for me to say this. I appreciate what you said, Honourable Member. SASCOC at this stage is not responsible either by the Sports and Recreation Act or its own constitution or the National Sports and Recreation Plan to get involved with international projects run by international bodies. So SASCOC was never involved, even from the onset. The only point that SASCOC got involved was at the bidding and hosting, whether they wanted to host the project in South Africa, and we sanctioned it through that particular project. So if there's a understanding that we must be part of this in future, I think that is something that we can really take forward with and see how. But it's very difficult because out of 85 federations, each of them wanting to run and host a world event, SASCOC is going to find itself inundated with trying to manage that process.
Thank you. Dr. Kumalo?
Oh, thank you very much, Chair. I also wanted just to come in terms of what Honourable Member Mthethwa was saying regarding the reports. Indeed, perhaps let's separate the report, because there is a Netball SA report that was tabled, as was indicated also in our presentation. We are aware of the use of the monies as per the report that we had tabled through the Chief Director here. So that part of the report we are fine with. We have indicated, Chair, that in terms of the Netball World Cup report, the closeout report we haven't seen. It's not been presented to us. However, we have received explanation as what caused the delay. And we had to allow that particular process, which was first disputes around the issues of the staff, and later the unavailable equipment that had been taken away, I think, by the staff, the same staff that the Netball World Cup Committee was actually talking about. However, Chair, I also wanted just to indicate to the members that in terms of what the Chief Director, and I know he didn't make a presentation, Ms. Linden sat in the committee by virtue of him being a Chief Director in the Provincial Sport, Arts and Culture Department, because as indicated also by our own Chief Director sitting next to me, the money came from us to Western Cape, the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture, as part of the conditional grant. And as he has indicated, the first and the second tranche reports were received by the department in line with the conditional grant reporting. But what we were saying we have not received is a closeout report that talks to the utilization of the entire 90 million. So you would also note, Chairperson, that in the email or the documents that the Netball World Cup Committee had forwarded to yourselves, they had included these annual financial statements, but going up to 2023, as has been indicated. And it doesn't cover the period when the actual World Cup took place, which was July 2023, because of the 23-24 audit not having been finalized. So that's just the clarity. I do note the fact that we perhaps, Chairperson, should have indicated that the presentation that comes to yourselves should not talk to the closeout report, having not gone through the department. However, I just wanted to explain how and what we have been receiving in the interim. Hence, I was saying we do not have the comprehensive report because we don't have full audited reports, only 1 and 2, or first and second tranches as part of the conditional grant.
Thank you, Doc. That is our concern. But I'm having a solution for this. And that's why I ask, where is the LOC members? To a greater extent, people are sitting here and it seems to me that people are lying under oath. To a greater extent, we are going to interrogate this issue as to whether there was anything from what is she called, who was the tournament director, whether anything has been sent by them. That's why I was asking about the CFO. They must also be gathered into a room to give their part of the story. So we are going to get to the crux of this matter. Proceed, Honourable Mtetwa.
Thanks, Chair. I did indicate that in my questioning that it is Gauteng and KZN. And I mentioned suspension and I mentioned disbandment. You only spoke to Gauteng. You didn't speak to KZN. And listening is a skill. Okay. Now, I will leave you. I want to ask, Chair, through you, Chair, that they provide us with the minutes of your board meeting that took those resolutions to disband or to suspend. The process that you followed in terms of your policy, if you can provide us the policy that deals with mediation. How do you do your mediation? Because out there it is alleged that the president decides because she's enjoying a majority support of the board members. The 3 board members who are forever dressed up in the same attire that she wears when she goes out to indicate. There's only 1 member who's forever outvoted on issues. And it can be, when you speak of transformation, I still want to find out again. When you decided to take somebody who was lesser qualified than Dumisani Chauke as the head coach, what was the reason for that? Because as far as I know, Dumisani Chauke is one of the best candidates this country has, and a black person for that matter. When you speak transformation to us, you speak black, African, and now that you are even running a sport that is driven by women, it is the greatest failure for you not to be able to transform that sport because you're not dealing with men, You now must showcase that you believe in the true talent and not the race. The issue of her interfering because she wants to promote herself, she wants to garner support for the re-election. Therefore, she will decide which province gets the court, who gets appointed, who gets to be the part of the team that is playing. And those are the serious allegations. And if you are hiding this, that's why I was saying to you, remember that you are severally enlightened. Now I'm putting you together to account and be honest to us. If you fail to be honest with us, we are going to charge you with the same issues that we are faced with when it comes to the president. Having said that, vitality, oh no, maybe I should ask Netball World Cup. Vitality withdrew its sponsorship at 11th hour. You haven't spoken anything. You didn't, in your presentation, you don't even mention Vitality as one of their sponsors. What were the reasons for Vitality to withdraw at 11th hour? President's suspension. What are the conditions around the suspension in view of netball? In terms of you responding to this suspension, what have you decided in terms of the conditions that you are going to apply? Because the suspension, as we heard today, we received an apology, which she considers herself part of you, but in compliance with what the World Netball has said, that if she continues to participate, you might also be removed from being associates. What are the conditions? What are the financial implications? Is she still traveling around with the finances through your support? Legal representation or battle, have you decided if you are going to fund that, or is she going to deal with that on her own funds? And SASCOC, why it has taken World Netball to suspend the president? Don't you think that shows a sort of vote of no confidence towards you, towards SASCOC? I hear you when you justify the fact that you don't interfere, but all of us, we're guarding that Netball World Cup with all our hearts. I was part, by the way, you never mentioned that I was part of the people who came to watch, physically came to watch that, because it was something very special for us. So I would have expected SASCOC to have some sort of insight on what is happening, to be vigilant in monitoring what is happening within. There's been articles in the newspapers, the members who have been complaining about Netball SA, especially the president, who is law unto herself, who has formed a cabal within the board where she takes decisions. She has a final word or word in terms of decisions. And everybody who stands against her, like KZN on the 13 million, asking about the 13 million, then they get suspended. We can't have a board like that. We can't have situations like that. We need, as you said, this is only the only sport that is dedicated to women, that is run by women. The support that you are getting from Supersport, giving you production that is run by women. Police giving you support that is run by women. You can't fail us.
Thank you. There's three very important questions. I'm going to jump Honorable Mtetwa then to Honorable Jacobs, but I'm going to give Honorable Mtetwa an opportunity to ask clarity if the responses is not to his satisfaction. Three very important questions. In any order?
Thank you, Chair. I will respond on the question of the conditions of suspension of the president. What transpired is from Netball South Africa's point of view, I, for myself as the Vice President, received the letter on Thursday in the morning, but the letter was addressed to the President, informing her about the suspension and the condition that if she gets herself involved in Netball South Africa's activities, Netball will be suspended. And then I immediately, contacted the President via an email, copying all executive members to say that, we were not aware of this. However, we request her to step back while she allows the process to make sure that the organization is not suspended. But at the same time, we called for an executive meeting where we had to deliberate on the way forward. What do we do? So within our deliberation, obviously, we spoke about legal, we spoke about all aspects, but at the end of the day, because I was chairing that meeting, I had to advise the executive that we don't have anything in our desk as Netball South Africa that inform us as the organization that the president is suspended. The letter is addressed to her. So the executive should allow us, where I, gave the CEO the mandate to communicate with World Netball, to request a letter directed to us so as we can be able to act. We received that letter on, I think it was Saturday night from World Netball. That letter, when we received it, we had to act on it because our members needed to know. So we needed that letter so as we can inform our members, and that's what we did so far. Thank you.
Who's dealing with your bookings, accommodation, and flights?
The CEO will respond to that.
Has that flights and accommodation been cancelled, or can you assure us that the president of NSA is not in Cape Town?
CEO.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Can I please inquire on that, and I will come back to the committee?
No. Someone must deal with the bookings. Has that booking been cancelled on Thursday or whenever, on Saturday? Can you assure us she's not in Cape Town?
Honorable
A
Chair,
yes or a no?
I wanted to go and check because there's a person who deals from the office directly.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to say.
Okay, the second question, I think it is NWC.
Yeah, I'm going to ask Blanche to talk to the issue of the vitality sponsor. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honourable Member, that question, I'm thankful that it came up here. Vitality is a UK sponsor, England Netball sponsor. And Discovery South Africa is a Netball South Africa sponsor. So during the World Cup, Vitality offered World Cup 2023 through World Netball 9 million sponsorship. And then a month later, they said they're going to include Discovery in that sponsorship with all the branding and the necessary advantages of a sponsorship. So we requested them to up that sponsorship because it's less than what our current sponsorship at the time, Telkom and SPAR was putting on the table. So there were a lot of discussions. The World Netball CEO came down to see Vitality, and then they said if they can't bring in Discovery, and be mindful they wanted the main position on the branding, the main space. So it was not accepted by the CEO or World Netball at the time and World Cup 2023, because that would have put our sponsorship, Telkom and SPAR, in jeopardy. So then they withdrew.
I'm going to Honorable Mthethwa. I will answer on the issue of the KZN. KZN wrote to the executive of Netball South Africa questioning the process of the constitutional amendment. And that was, I think, around 2023, and the matter dragged. And because there was no agreement, the matter was taken to SASCOC. And SASCOC did mediation, as we've heard the SASCOC president earlier on. However, in responding, KZN did not agree to the mediation that was done by SASCOC, and they've requested that the matter, as far as I remember, when I was speaking to the COO in her cap as a CEO, we've agreed that this matter will be taken to the independent judiciary board of SASCOC. So that's where it is now. And I will also speak to the legal assistance to the president. As far as I understand, we are not providing any legal assistance. The legal assistance or the legal counsel that we've requested from our own lawyers has to do with Netball South Africa, so that we make sure, because this is legal interpretation of World Netball articles as well as Netball South Africa Constitution. We have consulted with the legal a person who's on a retainer, because it's part of Labour Council. It's not an additional, there's no additional amount to that to advise us on what to do. Because if you look at it, it is World Netball that has suspended, and they've been very clear that they're not going to disclose anything at this stage. However, as a body as well, here, you are speaking of a president, a head, and I'm not sure, one of the things we were asking, we cannot take a position as we are sitting, as, you know, or maybe the board, it's very difficult. And that's where we wanted to check, because also the SASCOC, as the mother body, needs to also be part of it. So that's why we are seeking legal opinion or counsel on this matter. But we have not provided any legal assistance to defend the disciplinary hearing. Thank you.